My name is Hudson Taylor. In 1865, I founded the China Inland Mission. But when I was about your age, God put that on my heart, the vision for it. I told one of my instructors, and he said, "Oh, Hudson, you're from a poor family. You can't possibly do something like that." But sir, Jesus sent his disciples out without a second pair of shoes or a second cloak, and they transformed the world. Oh, Hudson, that was in Jesus' time. That principle couldn't possibly work in our day. But I knew he was wrong. I knew that if Jesus' words to his disciples were true, they would be just as true in our day. And so I went to medical school. I worked for a Dr. Hardy and had just enough for my tuition, books, and rent. It was heavy upon my heart that I did not have any cash to pay a tithe. And so I found cheaper dwelling place in a poorer section of town. I was preaching one Sunday night, and after I was done, a very poor man approached me. He said, "That was lovely. My wife's dying. Could you please come and pray for her?" I asked the priest down the street, but he wanted 8 pence. We haven't got that. Would you please come? Instantly, I went with him. But as I walked with him through the streets littered with rubbish, my heart sank because I knew this family needed money. But I had entered into an experiment with the Lord. You see, Dr. Hardy was a bit absent-minded, and he would forget to pay me. After reminding him many times, I entered into an agreement with the Lord, into an experiment, if you will. I told the Lord that I would no longer remind Dr. Hardy to pay me. I would remind the Lord and trust him to remind Dr. Hardy when I truly needed the money. So all I had left in my pocket at that point in time, Dr. Hardy had forgotten several times in a row, all I had left was 1 coin, half a crown. And as I walked to this man's establishment, I had a prayer with the Lord. I said, "Lord, if only I had that half crown in 2 shillings and 6 pence, I would gladly give him 6 pence. Then we walked into the man's dwelling place, and I saw 5 children with their cheeks hollow, their eyes hollow. Sure signs I knew as a medical student of starvation. And then I heard a weak moan, not a cry. It was a moan, and I looked down, and there was the mother on a pallet with a wee babe in her arms, not 36 hours old. It didn't have the strength to even cry. Oh, my heart broke. I said, "Lord, if only I had that half crown, I'd give a whole shilling to this family." So I said a prayer for their provision, and I didn't feel like it was getting past the roof. I knew I had their provision in my pocket. Oh, Lord, if only I had that half crown in change, I'd give them 2 shillings and keep the 6 pence for myself. So I gave them a sermon on the provision of God, how God would provide for their needs, but all the while I knew I had their provision in my pocket. Then the man said, "Please, sir, you can see our need. If you have something, would you please share it?" In that moment, the words of Jesus entered my heart. If someone asks, give. Reluctantly, I reached in my pocket, and I gave that family my last coin. As I walked away, I prayed that the Lord would provide my needs, for my rent was coming due. The next day, Dr. Hardy forgot again. But a package arrived at my door. I opened it, and inside was a blank piece of paper and kid gloves. I'm certain that someone had written a beautiful note to me, but I have no idea who it was. They put it in another pile and gave me the blank sheet. Well, I felt that it might be God's provision and I might be able to sell the kid gloves to pay for my rent. But as I tried them on and they fit perfectly, there was something in the glove. I emptied it out, and onto my table rolled a sovereign, worth 5 times as much as what I'd given that family the night before. Young people, God may be putting a dream on your heart, and it will probably require funds. And if someone asks you, don't be greedy. Give without thought. The Lord will repay with wonderful interest.